All right, let's jump into round two of DFW FIDE Royale tournament that took place at Texas Chess Center, Irving location specifically. In this round, I played a girl, Anya Roy, who ended up crushing the tournament. Especially, she had a very impressive win in the last round. If I get a chance, I might actually try to show the final tactic there. But let's see what happened in our game. I start with knight f3, knight f6, c4, g6, and we get to basically King's Indian type of position. However, my opponent here decides to take an interesting route. She goes c5. Well, c5, d5, white gains the space here. d6, e4, short castle, bishop e2. Pretty standard play here for white. I think now if black plays e6, then we transpose into a Benoni, basically. I either go like short castle here, captures, and basically we have Benoni position, a6, a4. If you go like rook e8, then probably knight d2. All right, but she had different idea in mind. After bishop e2, black goes b5. I honestly think this is objectively inaccuracy. However, I would definitely give black hard points. You know, like this is definitely a courageous decision, very brave to go b5, not with the move order basically of the original Benko, but delayed Benko, we could say so. Well, unfortunately for black, I think white now has enough time to deal with all the intricacies that come with Benko Gambit and usually sacrificing this pawn on this b pawn. So I decide to take cb and say thank you, a6, and short castle. I would say general rule of thumb in these positions is if normally black manages to trade that light squared bishop in a timely manner and then also capture on a6 with the knight, so knight could be developed with the tempo, then black gets some counterplay. However, in this case, I don't think black is on time here. I just play rook e1 to protect my e4 pawn, so after bishop b5 capture, the pawn is not hanging on e4. Knight takes b5, queen goes to b6, excuse me, not to a5. I protect my knight with a4 and now try to basically solidify my light squares. Now knight b to d7 and rook a3. This is in general a useful move because in a lot of lines here black will want to come rook f b8 and then b5 knight might be hanging due to the pin. So I'm securing my rook on a3, which will as a result secure my a4 pawn and the b5 knight, basically entire queen side. Okay, this rook I probably will not be super useful on the third rank, but it also helps that it controls the d3 square in case black will decide to go ideas like c4 and then knight c5 or some kind of knight e5 here with the idea of playing c4 and then knight on d3. On my own, I'll want to play here knight d2 and then probably prepare knight c4. Cool. So black decides to go c4 here to open up the queenside loop and get a little counterplay, because as it is right now, black does not have more space than white does. So c4, bishop e3, queen retreats back to b7, and I decide to play bishop d4. Computer likes knight d2 a little more. I guess makes sense putting the pressure on c4 pawn immediately. But I guess, well, there's no knight g4 actually, there's queen here. I was thinking of like knight e5 here, but I think he just goes queen c2 afterwards. And this is not a big deal because then I'll just move the rook away somewhere else. The b1 or a1, and then c4 pawn is gonna fall. Okay, I go bishop d4 to basically get the control of the long diagonal here. Rook fc8 was, I think, played. Then I play now knight d2 to bring the knight on to attack this c4 pawn, knight b6, and queen to c2. Now, knight b6 has a threat here. Knight wants to capture on a4, and I think queen c2 is a little bit of a careless move. Probably queen a1 would be a better option here. It's actually a very nice geometry, I think, that white sets up here. Now, white protects the a4 pawn. So basically, if captured here, then I'll just capture an a8 rook is hanging. Okay, so you can't capture now on b5. So you'll have to capture on a4 and then queen a4, and that wins the piece. So on queen a1, black will probably have to continue some a calm maneuvering game like knight bd7, and yeah, computer really likes this, and actually there's not to mention the computer, it makes sense. I think that white is just simply a pawn up here and black lacks counterplay. So queen a1 would probably be the most precise move, but I decided to play queen c2, and after a little bit of a thought, my opponent decided not to capture on a4. Which would be the best continuation for sure. I think now black will still be down a pawn here, but after queen takes b5, let's say rook a8, rook a8, I was thinking queen takes c4, and white is still a pawn up now. If you capture there, this is the line I was thinking during the game, rook b4 here, and now this pawn is hanging, but I can just eliminate that knight and then go rook b1 and basically bring the king over to protect that pawn, and if you move the rook, then white will start pushing this b pawn. So that was my idea, but computer really likes that after queen c4 here, black can just play rook b8, and this is very likely to become equal in view of trading queens and then let's say knight d7, and this b pawn will be very difficult to defend in view of the pressure from the rook and the knight. So apparently this would be the black's best chance here to try keep equality or fight for equality basically. But that's not what happens in the game. What ended up happening here was knight f to d7, bishop captures g7, king captures g7. I go knight d4 now, move that knight away from the potential tactics again, knight a4, and also preparing this knight c6. Knight goes to e5, rook e to a1. Now white wants to simply start pushing this pawn, and that's what happened in the game. Knight bd7, now a5, and that pass pawn gets going. After again some thought here, she decided to go knight b8, which I think should be a little too passive. Probably placing something on a6 would make more sense here. I think what's gonna happen is knight b8 does not accomplish here what black intended to accomplish, which was stopping the a pawn, right? But I play queen c3, threatening now f4, and if you move the knight, there will be double check and kind of like checkmate there. So you'll lose the piece. F4 threatens to win a piece. So she decides to go queen a7 here to pin my knight in return, basically. But now that move allows a6, and you can capture because we know that the knight and the queen is way more than two rooks here. I will just probably just go g3 and then f4, or actually immediately f4 probably anyways, winning an additional piece. Well, actually that might not win the piece, but it should be winning nevertheless here. Like let's say knight c6, two knights and the queen, or I would say knight and the queen outpower two rooks by a lot. It's not even close, especially in these positions when this c4 pawn is gonna fall and black has no counterplay. So king retreats back to g8 to get away from this x-ray basically, but now this c8 rook is unprotected, so that allows white to go b4, and with two passed pawns, I think black is now in a very difficult spot here. b5, queen goes to c5, that allows knight c6, now the e7 is hanging, and the exchange there, king has to protect it, And there are probably better ways of converting this, but I pushed a7, and after e6 I just simply decided to trade off queens with queen e3. Queen captures b5, now rook b1. This queen is trapped. I figured I could have won the queen immediately with queen h6 check, and if you gotta move the king, and then rook a5 traps it. But probably rook takes c6, then takes, and we continue playing this position, which should still definitely be winning for white, but let's say rook takes a7 here, the c pawn might be a little annoying, so I figured that after queen c5, much easier conversion would be queen takes c5, because now this a7 pawn is going to decide the game. D takes c5, because if you take with the knight, I'll take simply there, and then takes on c4, and knight b6 is coming on the next move, so black has to take with the d pawn, and now white just goes through b7. Now knight takes c6, d takes c6, d7 knight is hanging, so black cannot take on c6, knight e5, and the few last precise moves here, c7, threatening rook b8, black plays king e7, now if rook b8, king d7, and black king is too close there, but f4 to kick the knight away, and when knight moves away, I'll play knight c4 with the idea of knight b6, winning an exchange there. If c3, rook captures c3, knight retreats back to c6 to attack this a7 pawn. I go back to a3 to defend the a7. King goes to d7, and now knight joins in the party. Knight c4, knight goes to d4. Now the point, the last trick here black had was if king d6, knight b6, there will be king c6, and attacking this rook. Definitely rook b8 here should still be winning, but I decided to go knight e5 check, kicking the king away. If king d6, there will be rook a6 check, so kicking the king away and then going rook b8, which will win the game on the next move, because I'll capture the rook and then promote the pawn, which will win the rook and the game. All right, that was game 2. Let's see the next one. Cheers.